You're listening to another Geek Pride podcast.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Geek Pride podcast. My name is Sean Wallace and I'm joined by the man himself, the tower of Irish beef that is Matt Geary.
Wow, the Tower of Irish Beast, I like it. That should be a thing.
It should be. How the devil are you, sir?
Yeah, man, not bad. You weren't on the last podcast with us, were you? You had more technical issues.
More technical issues, yes. I have more technical issues than a North Korean missile program, unfortunately.
Ooh, topical. Very good.
I try.
Yeah, I'm all good, man. I went to a medieval banquet with the missus.
Yes, we saw the plethora of selfies. It was fantastic.
I mean, it was amazing. I was so impressed. Like when she told me she was going to get it, I was like, "Wow, that's kind of cool." But we went to this place called Coombe, which is in like where is it? Coventry, and it's like an old, it's a monastery basically, and it's got a moat around it. And it's got like this big awesome bridge, and then she got us like this amazing room inside one of like the turrets of like the keep, effectively, with like this 4-poster bed with massive.
Excellent.
I got all dressed up. I was like, I refuse, because like they have the banquet, and people are all like, you dress up, and I was like, right, I refuse, because I saw the photographs, and it's all those sort of kind of like Amazon-esque sort of, St. George knights and, the charming prince ones, really shoddy ones. I was like, nope, not Matt Geary. I've got some van braces and greaves somewhere around. I bought myself a cloak, and I bought myself some, like a blouse, like I don't know what they call it, a blouse, a shirt, thing, and some black sort of kind of medieval type trousers, and some boots, and a sword. Well, like it was a LARP sword.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. So I was well impressed, and I was like, yeah, feeling good walking around in my cloak and my thing, just sort of like, judging people in their sort of kind of $29.99 sort of Amazon efforts, and I've got my sort of kind of full blown thing going, and then it's just like, yeah.
The thing is, like, aside from the normal kind of geek snobbery, it's actually really in character for you to have gone around a medieval kind of meal and judged other people for not dressing right. It's perfectly in character.
Yeah, that's very true. And the great thing was, there's this jester, and he bumped into me, and he sort of kind of, it was brilliant. He said, I'm sorry, my lord, and he started kind of bowing. I was like, yes, that's what I like. Yes, peasant, off with you, and stuff. Well, that was really good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Meal was good. You started off with like this, they basically took you into this room, and they had guys, like actors, it must be like some acting troupe, because they did like songs and stuff, but they took you into this room, and then they called out your names, and you went in by groups. And because it was just me and the Mrs. Louise, we went in with some other couples, and the other two couples we went in with had got it sort of like a Groupon thing or something, and they hadn't dressed up, because they were all like, oh, we didn't think people would dress up. So they're sitting there like in their norms. And we're sitting there like this, I'm sitting there with, leather greaves on and shit like this, kind of looking pretty awesome. And they're just in their normal clothes. And they were the ones who stood out. But it was really amusing, because the girl, she was there with this dude, and he was in a proper sort of nice suit, like this guy, was like really well, like they were both well brought out even. And they were like all like dressed up and nice, and here's me sitting there pretty pissed already, just sitting there, and like the girl's just like not knowing what's going on, looking a bit scared and stuff. And the guy was quite quiet at the start, but after a few drinks got into it, and he's like, huzzah! And I was like, huzzah! And then we had a moment because Louise and the girl who was sitting beside us had never seen Princess Bride. And
really?
I said, my name's Antigua Montoya. You killed my brother. Prepare to die. And he was like, Princess Bride. And I was like, yes, mate. You and me are best friends forever. High five. So yeah, worth it. Really good. Like they have like this troupe of guys who dress up in different costumes and they sing songs, and it's full of innuendo, and
Yeah.
they make you sort of kind of join in and link arms and back and forth, and the food's really nice, and just in general it's really good, and you get mead and you get goblets and stuff.
Wow.
It's good. Yeah, so I was really impressed with that. I was really impressed.
That's fantastic. I do want to go do something like that. I have done it once when I was about 10 or 11 and we were in Turkey, I think. There was just a massive outing for all the Brits, basically, where they took you to a medieval place where it was just like a very small stadium with room in the centre for a jousting competition and some sword fights, and there's a king and queen sat at one end, and all these waiters would just bring out cooked meat in like wooden troughs and everything. And it was quite good fun, but it wasn't quite. It was very family friendly, I suppose.
Yeah, this was definitely not family friendly. But I remember when we were kids, me and my brother used to go to this place called Littlecote,
Right.
in Oxford. No, well, I guess it was Oxford. I couldn't be 100% sure because it was in and around there. But basically, you go there, and you'd have like there would be like jousting, and there'd be people dressed up, and you could get your photograph taken with like the Black Knight and things like that.
Oh, excellent.
And that was amazing. That was so good. It's like, I have fond memories of that when I was a kid. But yeah, I think it'd be something good if we get a bunch of us going, because like it was just me and Louise, and if we could get like a bunch of us from Geek Pride going, just have a bench of us all there going huzzah.
That would be fantastic, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. Yeah. Oh, on a completely random note,
Okay.
I've got a little bit of a song to sing to you, Sean.
Okay.
Yeah. It kind of goes something like this. Back in the 90s, I was on a famous TV show.
Excellent.
BoJack the Horseman. BoJack. I started watching BoJack Horseman, and I like it. I wouldn't say it's the best thing on Netflix, as you maybe have stated. It's not as good as Rick and Morty, I don't think.
Fair enough.
I enjoyed it. I'm on the second series at the minute, and it's good because obviously it's so random. What's the name of the cat? His agent.
Oh, Princess Carolyn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's going out with a little boy. He's just two little boys standing on top of each other.
It is fantastic.
Which tickles me every time and stuff. But yeah, it's good.
I went to the business factory. I did a business.
Yeah. And it's good just the way it sort of obviously it ties in with everything, and yeah, and there's so many like random people. Like I didn't realize that his housemate is actually
Aaron Paul.
your man Jess. Yeah, Jesse from Breaking Bad, and it's got like Peyton Oswald's in it, and the guy, the newsreader is the guy who does the sort of resist things you see on Facebook sometimes about Donald Trump, that sort of
Oh, really?
yeah, that's the same guy. And there's loads of other people in it, like
There is.
loads.
Yeah,
Loads.
Diane is played by she was the young girl in Community, Annie. So she was Annie in
Oh,
Community.
yeah.
That's who Diane is voiced by. BoJack is voiced by Job from Curb Your Enthusiasm, and he's also Lego Batman.
Yes, I say Lego Batman.
Yep, it's got a very good array of talent doing the voice work there, and there's guest stars as well. Like, have you got to Daniel Radcliffe's guest appearance yet?
No, I'm sort of.
Oh, it's amazing.
Whereabouts Sam? I think I'm literally a couple of episodes in, so he's had his. For anybody who's not watched it yet, spoilers. His book is obviously being released, and he's just sort of. What's he done? Is it the first series or the second series where he steals a letter from the Hollywood sign?
That's the first series. No,
Yeah,
mate,
yeah.
it's Hollywood. Remember, it's Hollywood.
Yeah, Hollywood. Yeah. And Mr. What's the dog called?
The peanut butter.
Mr. Peanut Butter. Yeah. Oh no, that's the last episode I saw. Was the housemate had created his own sort of kind of Disneyland,
Yeah.
and then he went to court, and he was all like, are you sure? You sure it's called Disneyland? And you sure there wasn't a mistake? And he
Yeah.
went, I'm pretty sure there's not a mistake, and then he gets the deed there, and he's like, oh my god,
There was a mistake.
It's spelt wrong. So that was quite good. Yeah.
It's fantastic. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Like I say, my opinion is it is one of the best things that's being made. But, well, since we last spoke, Rick and Morty Season 3, Episode 1 came out, didn't it?
Yes, it did. It was like completely out of the blue, and I was up late for no apparent reason, and then suddenly I just see this thing appear on my Facebook feed, and I'm like, oh my god, it's Season 3. I thought it was going to be the whole thing, but it was just the one episode. But even that was worth it. Totally.
Yes, it was very well done to do it as an April Fool's joke as well, because then a lot of people didn't believe it was actually happening. So...
Yeah. 9 years, Morty. 9 seasons.
Yes.
And there's loads of people been going on about the Szechuan sauce.
Oh God! And McDonald's are actually bringing it back.
That's the thing is, if they bring it back, then that's it. Then there's just no reason for Rick to sort of carry on, because that's all he's done for the Szechuan sauce.
That's true. But yeah. But then again, it wouldn't be in Rick's universe, would it? So.
Yeah.
There you are.
Very true.
I've got to say, the one thing I think about Rick and Morty, the only negative thing is that thing about Szechuan sauce and the fact... I guess I've never been online when a new episode of Rick and Morty came out. I've caught up to it so late. So the fact that the entire internet, seemingly, was making Szechuan sauce jokes and so on, it just... it aggravated me a little bit, unfortunately. I just really was like, oh, come on, guys. Let's talk about literally anything else if we can.
You don't like being a part of the bigger group. You're like me when I was younger and stuff. When I was into music, I like my music to be obscure, Belgian, and sort of nobody liked it and stuff. As soon as one of the bands that I like started getting liked by people, I was like, totally don't like that band anymore.
No, it's not as much that. It was just I'd go to random news articles and there'd be a Szechuan sauce comment, or YouTube, there's Szechuan sauce there, or on Reddit, on unrelated matters, Szechuan sauce again. It's like, oh, for God's sakes, really? Maybe I'm just getting old, and that's the first meme that I've seen that I'm just reacting badly to, and from here on in, I'm just going to hate all memes. I don't know.
You're just an old curmudgeon now, Sean. That's what it is.
Perhaps. I hope not, but we'll see.
Oh. So, what do you think on back onto another random tangent on International Tabletop Day? So hopefully this episode may actually come out around about the same time, actually, because or maybe next week. But an International Tabletop Day, Geek Pride, with Ben Fee running as Games Master or Dungeon Master or whatever it is for a Cthulhu Mythos thing, is running a RPG with myself, Sean, SKB, another guy called Sam, who some of you may have seen on one of the live streams I did when we were playing a board game. And is that it?
I think that's it. That's enough. Come on, people. You don't need any more than that, do you?
Yeah, and basically we're just running a live RPG. So we'll stream it, and then we'll also do an edited version of it as well. But it's going to be Cthulhu Mythos, and your character, I believe, is an archaeologist.
No, this is the weird thing. So I wanted to play a young idiot who just had as many guns as possible. Basically, that was my idea. Was a young idiot who has the most guns. Young, dumb, and full of guns. I think that's the way me and Ben described it. But because in the Call of Cthulhu game, your stats are rolled randomly, I have genius level IQ. And so I've got to completely change my character kind of concept, because I've rolled this guy who is basically Einstein 2.0. And so I'm I still need to kind of work the way around how I'm actually going to be playing it, but Yeah, I'm gonna have to essentially be like a bored, laconic genius who joined the army and just kind of farted around for a while. I don't know. I need to pass that through.
Ben's made me 66 years old. I'm a 66-year-old ex-brigadier general, and it was like part of me was kind of going, right, well, the only thing I changed because I was like, all right, I'll let him have it. I've never been an old man in an RPG before. I'll do the old man thing, but I changed it because apparently he originally went to Cambridge, and I was like, whoa, my family's from Oxford. I've got to have gone to Oxford,
Gotta go to
so
Oxford.
had to change that. But yeah, obviously you had 80 points to spend, and I was just sitting there kind of looking at it, and I was like, martial arts. I was like, and I said, Ben, 80 points in martial arts. I'm a 66-year-old brigadier general who can kick the fuck out of you. But then he was like, oh, I was like, okay, I'll change it. All right. So I've given myself what my other RPG characters generally have is the gift of the gab. So I can talk the pants off ladies generally. So I've bumped that up. I've given myself some library skills, so I can do some library stuff, I guess. Increased my stats on. What else have I increased my stats on? Some other like hand-to-hand stuff, and then I gave myself one because I wasn't allowed to have 100% on the talking one, so I gave myself 1% martial arts. So Ben's like, so you kind of saw a guy kick somebody once, and I was like, yep.
I think I put my points into guns, persuading people, dodging, and credit rating.
All right,
Because
okay.
I think
I think I've got an all right credit rating. Mine's like 75 or something like that at the minute.
75.
Originally, that was it came up with.
75 is insanely high. That's like
My
very, very good.
my persuasion is 99.
Wow. Excellent.
But that's what happens in my general characters, like my in the Rogue Trader one we play, which we haven't played in a while to be honest. But hopefully we'll get back to it at some point. But in that my character Captain Girk is Captain because I have this running thing that my characters the names have to be really well thought out. So pretty much my name in a different form. So
Right.
my character's called Matthew T. Girk instead of Matthew T. Geary and Girk and Kirk. I'm pretty sure my when we did that Warhammer one years back, it was something gear something or Gears and Oski or something like that. And this guy is called Tristram because that's my second name. Geary, just my second name. So there's been a lot of thought. But anyway, my character Girk he's all right at sword fighting, which is a bit strange for a sort of kind of 41st millennium sort of thing. But he's all right at sort of sword fighting and stuff. But he's awesome at talking to women and stuff. So my general character just runs around and sleeps with people and then gets in trouble.
There's sort of power fantasy being played out here, isn't there?
Yeah.
That all of your characters are great at talking to women.
Yeah, well that's it. So you can't do it in real life, must do it in the RPG.
Fair enough. I don't really. Normally, I would sort of play a paladin type in like D&D type RPGs, but currently at the moment I'm playing in another D&D game where I'm just like a brash, over the top half orc barbarian. So I'm trying to branch out just a little bit.
So how does because I've not played this generally. Matt's very sort of what's the word? He fears change, so he can't run around and shoot. He can't run around and shoot things or sort of do such stuff like that or wear power armor. He's generally not interested. So being in a 1920s sort of horror setting is going to be very different for me. How does it work?
Well, it's going to depend on the way that Ben wants to run it. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does that. But in general, it will be a case of sort of a standard, like Buffy type episode, I guess, that something weird starts happening somewhere and you try to investigate it. You find clues, you try to follow the clues as best you can, try and be sensible, and eventually try to solve the issue of the week. It will depend again though on how Ben is running it, because there's been completely different ways for Call of Cthulhu games I've been in for them to play out. So there's ones where it is that kind of very standard thing. One of the ones I remember that we really enjoyed was we were essentially playing out The Thing, where we were all stuck on an Arctic base, and one by one we were becoming aliens, and we had to try and stop it before the aliens were the majority and killed all the humans. Whereas another one was we were on a boat on a cruise when we got attacked by Aztec worshipping pirates who took us prisoner and took us into a pyramid, and we had to try and survive being sacrificed to great gods. So it can be very, very varied, but mainly, yes. Sorry.
So the old ones don't come out then? We don't have to actually fight Cthulhu or anything like that?
No, now the thing about Cthulhu in particular, and the old ones generally, is that if you are within touching distance of one of them, you've already lost. Cthulhu can eat D4 adventurers per round. And the same sort of goes for Nyarlathotep and Shub-Niggurath and so on. If you actually meet any of the named things in person up close, you have already lost.
It's like I've played is it Arkham Horror? Is that the board games? Yeah, they're the Cthulhu Mythos type ones. And I've played twice and I've lost twice. I don't think any of us have managed to beat the game because it's just not designed to be friendly towards you at all.
And that's the same for Call of Cthulhu. In general, if you actually survive and remain sane for one session, you have won.
Well, you see, the thing with Ben is I've learned some valuable lessons as Ben as a DM.
Okay.
He's very good at giving with one hand and then taking with the other. So he'll be all like, "Oh, here you go, Matt. Here's an army. You know you've done really well." No, actually, no. The first thing was, "Here's a planet. Oh, you've got a planet. You got all this cool stuff." And I'm like, "Yes." Oh wait, there's a rebellion in this planet. Everybody hates you, and now the Inquisition's after you. And I'm like, "What the fuck?" Oh, it's okay. Okay. That's right. Okay, I'll stop being a dick now. Here's an army because everybody thought you were a really good leader. Here's an army. You can take them off with you. Oh wait, they're all religious zealots, and they don't like the fact that you got gills. And just like, you just don't let me have cool things. So I'm expecting sort of like, oh look, you found this awesome book, but it's the Necronomicon, and something bad's going to happen to you.
In fairness to Ben, that's sort of the way Call of Cthulhu games already work. I said to him in private messages, it's like, I want to not know Latin, I want to have very low notice, and I want to not be able to do anything of value that isn't shoot things. Because that's the only way that you generally survive a Call of Cthulhu game, is by not knowing Latin, not being able to do anything magically, and having really dumb senses such that you don't notice all the creepy, horrible things happening around you.
Right, okay. So perception's not a good thing in that game?
Oh, no. Perception is terrible. Having any sort of education or knowledge of history is terrible. You basically, you just need to go in there as like I said, young, dumb, and full of guns, and that's the best way to survive.
So you just need to be Baldric, basically?
Practically, yes. You need to be Baldric on steroids.
Right, well, my guy's got a lot of history, apparently. He knows history quite well, which is going to be a problem. I was thinking, if I get all bookish and stuff, then I can work things out. Obviously not going to work out for Matt then.
No, you don't want to work anything out in a Call of Cthulhu game, because the more you work out, the more insane you go. You don't want to know anything. You want to be thick and just pleasantly move through your life with no knowledge. You essentially need to be the average EastEnders viewer.
So that's going to be a problem for you, considering you're like Sheldon / Einstein.
I know, that's why I'm going to have to rethink, because I wanted to not be the freaking genius that I am, but...
Damn my genius!
Exactly.
Damn it!
Just some things we have to face. Some crosses we have to bear. But yeah, everyone should obviously, if this does come out before the International Tabletop Day, then everybody should pay attention to the Geek Pride Facebook page and the Geek Pride website in order to see us fail miserably and notice things that we wish we hadn't.
Yeah, and inject Ben from my house for messing with us so much. But yeah, hopefully, because I've been trying different things, different streaming techniques and stuff. I haven't got it right properly yet because I'm finding that Facebook, it caps your sort of kind of what you can stream to and stuff, and at the minute it's capping it pretty low, so I can't even save stuff to put onto YouTube and stuff. But I might have found a way where I can stream to YouTube and Twitch at the same time, and then I can use a thing I've got on my computer to stream to Facebook, so I can maybe get streaming to all three and have it at relatively sort of high-ish quality and stuff. So we'll see. I was pissing around last night. I'm not sure if you saw it with a game called it's called Epic. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator.
Oh yes. I saw Jim Sterling do a video on this as well. Yeah.
It is literally the most ridiculous game I've ever played in my life, and I freaking love it. It's like, I don't know even how I came about it. That's right. I was watching a video on Medieval Total War or something along one of the Total War games, and I saw this thing, and it was like 300 Spartans meets 10,000 Persians.
Yeah.
And it was just basically them running at them, and I was like, wow, I wonder if you can get that game. And I didn't think about it, and then the other day I was on Steam and I saw it pop up. I was like, it's only like a tenner, and I was like, no way. So I bought it, and I had like Chuck Norris fighting 10,000 chickens. It was amazing. It's literally the most ridiculous game. There's not a lot of strategy to it, unfortunately, which is a shame. You can't move your formations around really, or sort of do things like that, and the AI is a bit shit, but you don't need it. If you got like literally Chuck Norris, who's nigh on indestructible, and you can run around and kill 10,000 chickens, then it's amazing. Like last night, I had a battle between 300 Spartans and 20,000 zombies. So it's like we had like 10,000 coming from the front, and then so because I didn't want them sort of they get wiped out straight away, I left the 10,000 at the back far away, so it took them a while to get there. And the Spartans managed to kill, I think they managed to kill 10.5 thousand zombies before they got overrun. And I was just like, wow, that's pretty good. But yeah, that was a pretty intense game last night.
Thing to say in its defence is it is actually early access at the moment, so the game should and will improve. So
yeah, the guys just do. I think it's a single. From what I've been told, it's a single chap, and he's just sort of as he's going along, he's improving things. My general, I don't know. See, it depends on what sort of game you want out of it. If you just want something where you can do stupid things, then you've got it. You can literally just put you just needs a few more units in there, different unit types and stuff, and you can just charge them at each other, and that's fine. For me, who's like, I love big war games and stuff like that, and something where you can have hundreds of thousands of guys is amazing for me. If you could do it in a Total War way, where you could sort of move your units around more, you could sort of basically command them effectively, that would be top. But then it takes away from the silly slightly.
Yeah.
And I think it's aiming at the silly, so
I think it is.
I don't know.
Because Jim Sterling in his video, he did 300 tortoises versus 300 chickens.
Yeah.
See how that would play out.
I had penguins versus tortoises last night, and the tortoises completely annihilated the penguins. Per penguins, it was like a vegan's worst nightmare. It was horrible.
Oh dear. Yeah, so that your recommendation for the week then?
Yeah, brilliant game. It's only a tenner as well, so like you buy it, and I guess it gets updated all the time and stuff. And I've barely scratched the surface with it. I've done Spartan zombies. I did zombies versus US soldiers, which was going really well. They were like completely wiping out the zombies, and then basically one of the guys didn't shoot a zombie that was right in front of him and got eaten, and then the other ones decided. The rest of them just sort of slowly got wiped down. I was like, that's the AI for you. But there you go. That was
well,
good.
In fairness, that's probably quite a realistic representation, because all it would take would be one man's nerve to give, and completely fail, and it could be that an entire regiment would fall.
Well, that's true, and it was actually quite intense because I was sitting there because you could see like again it was the same sort of kind of like Thermopylae thing. So you had some from the front, and then eventually some came from behind, and it's like they were slowly, as the weight of numbers sort of kind of got forward, they were slowly getting further and further forward, and like it just took one of them, and it was just this one zombie. He was in front of everybody, and they just ignored him, and he got into the side of them, and then from that point on, it was just game over. And I was like, no.
You can take control of them as well.
Yeah, you can possess them. Now, this is what I didn't see. I saw in a video that you could move guys around. Now, you could get into one guy, move him, and other guys would follow you, but for some reason, when I was doing it last night, it wouldn't let me, and I asked on the stream, I was like, oh, can somebody like check this on Google while I'm playing? And they said, yeah, you can't move guys. I was like, I'm sure you could. I'm sure you can move guys, but apparently not. So we'll see.
That's
I'll have to have a Google and see what's going on. But yeah, I really hope they add more units and stuff to that. Lots of different random things, like alpacas or something. I don't know.
Okay, so if you could put one unit into that game, what would you... Like, only one. What is it that you'd put in?
I quite like, the history buff side of me would quite like sort of like British line infantry or something from like the sort of Napoleonic era, so like muskets and stuff.
Okay.
But then maybe like something from Lord of the Rings. So like I know they've got like an ogre in there. They have orcs. So maybe sort of like Gondorian sort of footmen or something would be pretty cool.
Fair enough. I'd half expect you to say Space Wolves.
Oh yeah, Space Marines would be cool. But then you see it wouldn't be the same because they don't go in formations. They're sort of like kind of loose groups. So, but yeah, maybe you could just get like Lehman Russ or something flying around, sort of kicking ass and chewing bubblegum. Talking about Lehman Russ, I'm listening to 1,000 Suns, the Horus Heresy.
Ah, yes.
And I've obviously done it in the wrong order because I'm currently reading the Master of Mankind, which is the recent one.
Wow, yeah.
And it's about the Emperor and stuff, and it's really good. It's really good. Just the fact that it talks the custodian. You're basically most of the custodians in it, and the Emperor actually is talking away in it and stuff like that. But I've read the Burning of Prospero before I listened to 1,000 Suns, and so I kind of know what's going on because obviously I've read them in the wrong order. But it's just because I thought I read it and I was just like, well, Magnus had it coming. And then you sort of start listening to 1,000 Suns or reading it, and you're just like, well, he was just sort of kind of trying his best to sort of do the best for the Imperium, and he's basically got fucked over.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, I do love the Horus Heresy books quite a lot. I own like nearly 20 of them, so I really do love them. But one of the big criticisms is that the Emperor is an absolute dick. And that if he just explained one or two more things, then none of the Horus Heresy would have ever happened.
Yeah, it's just sort of, there's a lot of things, it's sort of, especially is some of the Primarchs and things, and you're just like, all right, these guys were dickheads when you met them. Why didn't you why did you give them a legion and then say, all right, you can have troops like Angron, who was, pretty unstable. Angron and Kurz even, were pretty unstable pretty much from day one. And yet he kind of went, all right, you can join the Crusade, and here's a legion to command and stuff. And it's just like, yeah, that was a pretty bad idea from day one, wasn't it?
I mean, I've just read Betrayer, which is the book that concentrates on Angron becoming a demon.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's a really good book, and you end up
Is that the one where they go to the ultramarine training planet?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a really good book because you end up feeling quite sorry for Angron, and like he wanted to die with all of his friends and family in that final battle, and the Emperor saved him and no one else. And yeah, and then he ends up going back, and no one even remembers his friends or him when he go back to his home world, and that's where he becomes the demon. It is incredible.
But that's the general theme when it comes to any of the sort of all of the sort of tortured Primarchs are the ones who turn to sort of chaos. Don't do it on fuck this shit, I'm just going to chaos. There's always something that happens, like what's his name, Logar. He gets annoyed because he gets reprimanded for worshipping the Emperor as a god, and they wipe out one of their planets, and they basically just kill, basically genocide, and just go, right, don't do it again. I'm not a god. And he's like, what the fuck? And then sort of what's his name, Erebus turns around and says, I've got these other guys, these gods over here. They'll let you worship them and stuff. And even he sort of kind of fights it towards the end, and but eventually goes. And Magnus is the same. Magnus fights to the better end. Even when Prospero gets sort of destroyed by the space wolves, he doesn't, and he even gets his back broken by Lehman Russ. He doesn't use his full psychic powers and stuff to sort of destroy the space wolves. And he basically, at the end, it's just like, Chaos Gods go, look, if you want to live, join us. And he's like, if you want your sons to live, join us. And he's like, fine, I've got nothing, He was basically betrayed by Horus, wasn't he? And he joined up. Angron, again, like you said, he just wanted to be left with his sort of the rebels when they were fighting on the planet. And who else?
Mortarion I haven't yet read properly about. I don't know if that's just because they haven't done a book on him yet, or I haven't gotten to the book about him. But
no, there's not a lot on Mortarion at the minute, unless I don't think there is one yet about the Death Guard and stuff.
I think it's a bit odd because they're obviously one of the main four that people would, maybe five that people would think of with Chaos Space Marines, but they don't really get a lot of focus, which is a bit weird.
Maybe it'll come further on and stuff. It'll just sort of they've got a long way to go, which is sort of good and bad. Good because you'll get a lot more books out of it. Bad because we're not going to get to the awesome battle at the end with the Emperor for a long, long, long time.
No, it's going to be a while for obvious reasons. I really do still like the series. Some of the stuff with the Alpha Legion, for example, there've been really good books about the Alpha Legion.
Oh yes, because you don't know if they're good. That's the whole running thing. Is you don't know if they're actually loyal or not.
Yeah,
it's just sort of
you still don't.
Done it.
Yeah, you still don't know, even into the 40k universe. You still aren't 100% whether they are loyalists or rebels.
Well, there is sort of kind of rumors flying around that there's a loyal legion might turn bad, chaos even, and a chaos legion might go loyal. So obviously it seems that maybe the Alpha Legion would be the appropriate choice for loyalists, and the Dark Angels, because they're heretics anyway, would be the ones to go to chaos.
Yeah, because Dark Angels are one of the ones that they targeted to try and turn to chaos, weren't they? And
well, there's a lot of them you don't know what it's like. Did the Lion sort of because he didn't rock up to the battle in time, and this whole thing, did he? And then half of his legion were on Caliban, and he went off, and then he was just like, oh, I wasn't in time for the battle. Oh well, he won, so I'm on their side. But was he sort of hedging his bets and stuff?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of sort of stuff about that. So don't know. There's also what's his name, Cypher, and there's like with the new books that came out, the new rules and stuff. Like Cypher helps because Girly Man or
Robot Girly Man, yeah.
Robot Girly Man is back. He was revived, and basically Cypher rocks up, with some of the Fallen. For all of you who don't know 40k lore, the Fallen are basically the remnants of the Dark Angels who got cast into the warp after the sundering of Caliban, and he's rocked up with them, and he's like, "I'll help you, but you've got to take me to Terra, and I want to see the Emperor." And he's like, "All right, I'll do that. That's fine." So he helps him, gets all the way to Terra, and then when Girly Man's about to rock up to see the Emperor, obviously, or the Emperor's sort of kind of whatever's left of him in the Golden Throne, he's like, "Nah, buddy, you're not coming in. You're not coming in." And he gets arrested and gets hauled off. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see why he wanted to be there. Personally, I think it might be the fact that Cypher wants to kill the Emperor because the only way to reincarnate the Emperor is for him to die. So, if he kills him, then he becomes... what is it? The Star Child? The Star Child or whatever, and that'll be the sort of new beginning. So it'll be interesting.
It is a little bit of a shame because I think it is one of the things that the 40k universe needs, and I know I've said this before, is that if they needed to move on, and the best way to do that is to have the return of heroes and maybe reset the universe just a little bit so it's not quite as horrific and depressing, and there's just a bit more to it.
Well, I think what they've got is, because the 8th edition's definitely coming out this year at some point in time. I think there's some dates coming around sort of June, July time. The question is, do they do what they did with Fantasy Battle and then turn it into an Age of Sigmar where they literally just retcon everything so everything gets changed, or do they do a little bit, from column A and column B? Now, they have changed from... I've seen some of the rule changes that they might be doing, and it does look like they're sort of using some of the older rules, but they're also going to build in some of the stuff they've got from Age of Sigmar, like War Scrolls. So basically, each unit, instead of having codices, so codexes, you'll have War Scrolls. So you'll basically have rules for each unit you're playing with, in the box or on a PDF, not a PDF, on your iPhone or whatever. And so, you can buy the books. So with Age of Sigmar, you can go out and you can buy the books and have all the stuff there, but they're all, the rules for each person that you play is free to download, basically, so you can have them on your iPhone, which is a big thing for Games Workshop because they don't tend to give free shit away very often. So if they go that way, that would be good. They've brought back 2 Primarchs. They brought back Magnus. They brought back Gurluman.
Oh, crap. Did they bring back Magnus? I hadn't noticed.
What? Really?
Really?
Did you not the whole thing where Magnus came back and went, "Hey, Space Wolves, fuck you guys," and blew up one of their planets?
Fuck, no, I completely missed that.
Well, Shawnee boy, sit back and listen to this tale. So what happens is, there's lots of shits going, lots of demon incursions going on around the Fenris system, and suddenly the 13th Company come back. So it's basically the ones who went out with Lehman Russ when he went into the warp, so his personal bodyguard. Now, I'm not sure, do you remember the 13th from the old game? The old sort of, what edition would it have been? Third, maybe? Second or third edition?
Vaguely.
Where they were basically, they were called the Wolfen, and they were basically, they were werewolves, effectively. They'd given in, their Canis Helix had basically changed them into wolves, so they would, they were obviously mutated.
Yep, I remember. I do remember them, yeah.
Yeah. So they've come back. So it's basically the 13th Crusade. So basically the 13th Crusade, Black Crusade, happened, Abaddon's 13th Crusade, which happened years ago anyway. They did a big sort of massive thing. They've retconned that now, and they're redoing it. So basically the 13th could come back. So they're helping out, Space Wolves and things around, coming in when they're needed and kicking ass, but they're wolves. And the Inquisition and, the Dark Angels and stuff like that are kind of going, whoa, what the fuck is this? These guys, So they're not too happy about it. And then what happens is a Chaos Changeling gets in with the Dark Angels and is all like, hey, what the fuck are these guys doing? They look like they're sort of mutants and stuff. Oh, taint, taint, taint. And so the Blood Angels start to, fighting with the Space Wolves.
Right.
Because they listen to this changeling, which turns out he's actually a demon. And then what happens is after that, the Grey Knights are like, whoa, 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 whoa. The Grey Knights, who fought with the Space Wolves before, actually come to their rescue, effectively. And that happens, and then Magnus appears. So basically, the 13th appear, fighting all these demons, and then Magnus appears, and he's all, hey, motherfuckers, remember what you did to me? And he basically goes down into the Fenris system. They attack the Fenris itself. They attack a lot of the, like, Midgard and stuff, and they basically drain it of all its power, and they use that power to basically, I can't remember the name of their planet off the top of my head.
So not Fenris itself then?
No, but it doesn't get blown up. They drain it of a lot of its power. They blow up Midgard.
Right.
Midgard was one of the I think it's Midgard, one of the planets, and he basically uses all the power there to get his planet. It's not Prospero. It's the one that they went to the warp.
The demon planet.
Yeah, the demon planet, and it is now in real space.
Ah.
Now they beat Magnus, but it's like a Pyrrhic victory sort of thing. So there's a whole thing that what's his name, Logan Grimmar, his axe, when he hits Magnus with it, Magnus hears Korn laugh, and they think that the axe that he's got is actually a Korn relic, is actually is tinted and stuff. So they beat him, but he's just like, I don't care. I'm coming back anyway. My planet's now sort of here. And he's come back, and he's this massive sort of... He's a demon prince, so he's basically this huge model.
Yeah.
He's fucking shit up on the tournament stage at the minute. He's going around... He's a horrible, horrible unit. He's got all the psychic powers. He's got every single save you can want. And he's quite annoying to fight against. But yeah, he's back. Girlyman's back. With the Emperor's sword.
Yep, I did see that. Yeah. In fairness, it looks pretty badass. Like, as much as I hate Girly Man, it does look pretty cool, does that model.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who converted him into actual an Emperor model and stuff, which looks pretty good. And then the next one, there's rumors, is Mortarion, because the Death Guard, they're bringing out some Death Guard models, and I have a feeling the next Demon Prince will be, or the Demon Primarch even, will be Mortarion.
They still have Angron then? Is Angron still? Because I know Angron.
Yeah, he's a demon prince as well, or sorry, a demon primarch.
The thing about him was that he's very good, but you've got to pay for, like, he has to have 4 bloodthirsters with him or something like that, doesn't he? So that's why you can't really use him all that well.
I don't think you can actually use him in the game at the minute. He might have been in earlier editions and stuff, but sort of, especially in sort of 6th and 7th editions, he's not been around. I didn't play. I played Rogue Trader in like 2nd edition, 3rd, 4th, and then I started getting back into it under 5th edition. So I haven't played, Notice Angron for a while.
That's a shame, because Angron's one of the only Demon Primarchs who's actually done anything in the 10,000 years since the Horus Heresy. Because none other of them have done a single thing, apparently, apart from Magnus now. But Angron actually was involved in a number of the Black Crusades, and he's killed planets and things like that. He's the only Demon Primarch who's actually done anything of note in 10,000 years.
Yeah, he's in the last book I read. It was called Emperor's Gift, and it's about the Grey Knights and the Space Wolves and their sort of kind of mini civil war they have after the Battle of Armageddon, and they fight Angron in that, and I can't remember the name of the Grey Knights, the main Grey Knight in it either as well. I'm so bad with names, so bad. But yeah, that's a good book because they fight Angron in that, and he's literally just this huge, like, massive. They didn't realize he was there because obviously all the psychic sort of wards around him, and then he just appears, and he's just this huge sort of kind of demon, and they're like, "Fuck, it's Angron! What the fuck?" But yeah, that's one thing. Like Games Workshop, you know, they've turned it around a bit now, but originally it was all about the money. It was all about the rum dum dum dum. But they always had a good sort of storyline. Their sort of their canon and their what's their fluff effectively was always really good. And I'm kind of glad that they're starting to play on that more, and especially now where they've killed characters in the last three books. Like they've killed Space Wolf guys, they've killed like what's his name? Oh, that I suppose he's not dead, but you're not sure. The main Imperial Guard leader, what's his name? Oh crap, that's gonna really piss me off. Somebody's probably shouting this podcast going, "It's him."
Gaunt, is that the one? Or
No. That's Gaunt's Ghost, isn't it? You're thinking of, but what's his name? He's like got this cape, he's bald, and he's like the main Imperial Guard leader guy.
we'll have to move on, Matt. We'll have to move on.
Yeah, it begins with a C. Does it begin with a C? Does it begin with a C? Oh, it's going to really frustrate me now. It's going to be one of these things. I'll have to message you later and go, it was him. It was him. Anyway, he's sort of like, I think he gets sort of, I have a feeling he gets captured by the Necrons and put in one of their sort of vaults somewhere.
Right.
But there's a load of people have been killed just outright. They've killed characters and stuff, which is they don't usually do because they want people. Oh, you've killed characters, the models, and you can't sell the models, but they have, and I think that's a good thing. So we'll see what happens in the 8th edition when it comes out this year. So exciting times.
Very exciting times. Speaking of exciting times, and in the remaining time that we have left, I figured I'd go into a topic that's just as exciting, if not more so, which was the Star Wars 8 trailer, which dropped this week.
Do you know what? I wasn't as sort of blown away by it as I thought I might be, or as other people were.
Man!
Obviously, it's. I know it's really bad. I love Star Wars. I watched it, and I was like, it doesn't really. I'm kind of hoping there'll be more as time goes on. But
I mean, there will be, but I almost don't want them to say more because I'm quite interested in the direction that I think they're going. So, in a way, I think I might avoid all future trailers to try and remain pure until Christmas.
Didn't he say in it something about when you meet it needs to be the end of the Jedi?
Yes, he did.
And what do you think that's going to be? What do you think he means?
I think that. Well, my assumption there, and I've seen this online a couple of times, is that there's an arc that's sort of going through all of the films. If you start from beginning of that, whilst obviously the Sith have always been pretty horrific, actually the Jedi philosophy doesn't work either, because it's been proven now on maybe 3-4 occasions that it just doesn't fit to real people. And so there needs to be a new philosophy, there needs to be a new way of looking at the Force and engaging with the Force. And so that's why Luke has gone away, essentially, to try and find that new path. And that the Jedi need to end. There need to be no more Jedi. He is the last Jedi. And that Rey, she needs to be something new in order to actually bring balance.
What do you think what would that be? Is that sort of kind of, I know they've got grey Jedis and things, but what would she be?
I think they're going to do something completely brand new. I think the term Jedi won't really apply. This is my reading, is that they're not going to go for this objectivist sort of Eastern philosophy that comes with the Jedi of, well, you've got to reject emotion and you've got to reject love and all the things that sort of make most living things, most life worth living, and instead find a new way to engage with the Force. I think that's something that doesn't really belong in the Jedi, and it's not right to call it Sith either. I think that's what they're probably going for, is some completely different path that doesn't match anything that's been done before, because going all the way back, even to the Old Republic, the Jedi fail, and they fail over and over, and they tend to fail because of an internal inconsistency with their philosophy, and no matter how many times they've tried to apply it now, it has been undone. And Luke has now experienced this for himself with what emo kid, whatever his name is.
Crap. What the fuck is wrong with me and names today? God damn it.
I know his real name is Ben Solo, but I'm trying to think of his full name.
Oh god, people are literally going to be shouting at us through this podcast. You're fucking idiots. What are you doing? Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren. There you are.
Kylo Ren. And the other guy, by the way, the other guy from Warhammer 40k is Castilian Creed. God damn it. Yeah, Lord Castilian Usacar E. Creed.
Fair enough.
Had to Wikipedia that shit because it was driving me fucking nuts.
Fair enough. So yeah, that's where I think they're probably going to go with it, is that it's going to have to be a completely different way of engaging with the Force.
Well, I think that'll tie in with, because from what they don't want to dwell on the old trilogy anymore. They want to basically make it go off in its own way, and I think getting rid of the Jedi effectively will do that, so they can have their own sort of direction effectively, without having to sort of pander to those final the old trilogy, basically.
Yeah, which I think works as a theme and as a plan as well, because in fairness, we're probably going to see Star Wars films now for the rest of our lives.
Yep.
Like the Star Wars film, it's owned by Disney, and Disney are very good at what they do, and what they do is consistently put out the same sort of products over and over in order to get us very, very simple and easy to please people to give them money.
Wow. I read something recently, like, is it Apple are trying to buy either Disney or Disney property for like $200 billion?
Really?
That's a lot of zeros. Yeah.
Bizarre. I wonder what property.
I don't know. It was on Facebook or something like that.
Oh.
So it's obviously true.
Yeah.
And so it just popped up. It wasn't like, I tend not to sort of have anything shit on my feed, so I get rid of the clickbait sites and stuff and try to have more
dignified news.
Yeah, reputable news sites on my feed. But I'm pretty sure there was something saying that they were looking to buy Disney related for $200 billion. Obviously, that's a lot of money for you and me, but to Disney's probably chump change.
Yeah, because they do make it depends. I guess it depends on the property and what they're actually. I can't even see a connection between Apple.
Do you know what? Let me just Google this shit now. You just wax lyrical there, and I'm going to type it in.
So aside from that, we obviously saw some very good things in the trailer. We've got poor Poe, who looks like he's going to be suffering again, and he can't really get onto ships without them blowing up. And Finn clearly seems to wake up, which is good, because I thought it was a bit of a weird and contrived plot thing anyway, was putting Finn to sleep so that Rey would feel comfortable leaving. So I'm glad that Finn's going to be back. Kylo Ren just looks, again, quite pathetic. I'm still surprised at this, and I think I've said it before, but the Disney expected Kylo Ren to be the breakout hit of the film, and that everyone would love him and think he was incredibly badass and all this lot, and that's why most of the toys and merchandise that they brought out were about Kylo Ren. And A, the fuck, and B, they were astonished that the heroes were the characters that everybody liked, which was even weirder. But Kylo Ren was just such a interesting but still quite a pathetic character.
Yeah, but I don't know, in a good way, not in sort of, yeah, in a good way. I liked the fact that he was moody and that he was a bit emo, because it just showed that he wasn't. I don't think he's been trained properly. He basically what's happened is he's had his training with Luke, and then he's been taken to the dark side too early, and then he's thought, I don't need this shit anymore. I'm not sure if they're going to imply that Snoke's force sensitive or whatever, but basically he's not a fine-tuned sort of Jedi or Sith.
Yeah.
He's literally he is just a bundle of emotions. He's a teenager, and he's basically fighting with his emotions, and that's why he's so volatile when it comes to things. He's relatable in a way to sort of younger sort of teenagers and stuff, because they're getting controlled by their sort of kind of their hormones and their emotions and stuff. So I don't think it's a bad thing. It comes across as he's a bit of a weak character, but I kind of like the fact that he's a bit of a weak character.
As I said, it's interesting, but it doesn't mean that I like him as a character or that I would be interested in going out and buying merchandise about him or anything like that. But have you found it yet? Have we?
It says Apple may have already conquered the market when it comes to music and technology, but will it take over TV and movies with the acquisition of Disney? Rumors of a possible merger between the two companies began last October, when reigning Apple CEO Tom Cook said he was on the open to acquisitions of any size, meaning even multi-billion net worth Disney. So it's actually Disney itself buying Disney. Now Wall Street speculate analysts have said that takeover would be hypothetically possible, as the technology company could afford to pull off a $200 billion plus takeover of Disney. The deal could create a company worth $1 trillion with almost limitless opportunity.
$1 trillion.
$1 trillion. So okay, it's not actually going to happen. It's just it's a theoretical that they could afford it. Basically, they could buy Disney, but that would be insane.
That would be legitimately horrific, because Apple are a terrible, terrible company. Like, genuinely quite an awful company. And I base this on...
Matt puts his iPhone away.
Well, no, I base this on the fact that, like, a lot of their decisions in the last 2-3 years have been quite anti-consumer. Like, if you go back 5-10 years, Apple were known for being the company that just made things simpler and easier. Even with iTunes, leaving iTunes aside, like, the actual iPhones were models of simplicity and value and quality. But in the last kind of 2-3 years or so, they've just gone mad, making decisions that are just solely there to make them a bit more money and fuck over anyone who even vaguely doesn't buy the newest iPhone every year.
Which is Matt, by the way. I buy every single new iPhone. Do you know what? I'm not an Apple person. I'm all about the PC, but for some reason, because I'm just used to it, I just get an iPhone. Because I'm a creature of habits, and I just buy iPhones. Just
move up, man. There's better phones out there.
There are no doubt is, but like I said, I'm just a creature of habit, and I just sort of moving to new things. It's like I fear change, and yeah, I might get a phone that's better, and I'll be like, oh my god, it's changed, it's different. It's like I don't know where all the buttons are, and it'll panic me and frustrate me. Before we go, just sort of on a random sort of note, back to the Star Wars thing. Have you seen the trailer for the new Battlefront?
I haven't actually. Now I need to do a confession here. I don't care about the Battlefront games. I never have.
Yeah, the Battlefront that came out sort of, I don't know, last year or something. It's only, maybe 2 years ago. It was a bit underwhelming. It was literally a case of, I thought, oh, DICE, they do Battlefield and stuff, it'll be great. But it was just literally, here's Star Wars, enjoy it. And it was half done, it was a bit half baked. I played it a couple of times and wasn't that interested. Even with Star Wars being a part of it, I was just like, yeah, I'm not that bothered. But they're saying that in this new one, that instead of having lots of season passes where you have to buy extra content, it's just literally going to be the whole thing in there. And it's going to be a case of all 3 generations of Star Wars. So basically, prequels, old trilogy, new trilogy. You can play in all of them. But the one thing that I loved about the advert for it, and I think they need to do this with the movies, is they had it as a special forces, an Imperial Special Forces person's down on Endor, and they come down and they're shooting away, and then one of the stormtroopers says, "I didn't know special forces were here," and they said, "You're not meant to." And then the Death Star blows up, and they're like, she takes off her helmet, and she's like, how is that possible? And then it says that it's 30 years for me to get, for me to get my, to get back the Emperor and stuff, and it's all, let's avenge the Emperor. And I like the fact that it's taking it from a different view. It's like, the Imperials, everybody's thinking, oh, they're all bad guys and stuff, and it's like, obviously, it's like any political system, there's going to be people who will, fight for one side, and I kind of like that. And I'd love them to do a film which was just on an imperial side of the spectrum. I think that'll be really good. There's actually a I'm not sure what it's called. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube, but there's a YouTube fan fiction sort of video, and it's basically about it's on the imperial side of the coin, effectively, and sort of quick synopsis without sort of overly ruining it for everybody, but it's about this couple, and then he's gonna, they're in love, and then he's joining the Imperial Army, and he goes off the Imperial Army, and then he just becomes like sort of like super loyal and stuff, and it's all about his journey through the battles and how he sees things and stuff. And there's a really good I can't tell you the ending now because it's going to ruin it. You should just find it. I'm not sure what it's called. I'll try and find it myself and post it somewhere. But there's a really good bit at the end, and where you're all kind of thinking, oh my god, yeah, he's going to turn against the Empire and stuff. He doesn't. He just goes, that this is who he's fighting for and stuff. And it's brilliant. So good. Really good.
I mean, it's good. I don't think we're ever going to get a film like that. And the reason I say that is that Disney in general don't like to introduce that kind of nuance, because they primarily, these films are there make money for themselves, but also to generate all the toys and so on and the games that come after it. And it's not as easy in a market where you're primarily aiming at children to have this nuanced position of, well, actually, the Empire may not be as bad as you think because you're just looking at it from the wrong perspective. And the second part I'd say for that is the new version of the Empire, whatever they were called, the New Order, or the Order, whatever they were.
The New Order,
yeah, okay. They actually brainwash all of their soldiers, so it's not that we're going to get quite a heroic and good version of them. And they annihilated half of the galaxy in number 7. If you remember, they annihilated quite a large amount of people.
No, I'm not saying that. Even the Empire, you can't really say it's depending on which sort of story arcs you go on.
I think the Empire, you could have argued it. The Empire, you probably could, and you probably could have had. I know there's been comics that have been from the perspective of heroes of the Empire, and it does work, but not for the Order.
Yeah, they're just sort of they're a faction of the Empire that has broken off and decided to sort of take the darker path of it. Whereas I thought
they were the surviving remnants of the Empire, because the Empire is essentially destroyed, and I thought
I think there's arguments that, well, not arguments, there's sort of like storylines. Like I haven't read any of the sort of like the in between comics or the books or anything, but there's certain because obviously when the Empire, when the Emperor dies, it doesn't mean that those areas sort of like just dissolve. Generals basically take on roles, and so basically the First Order are a section of the Imperial forces that were taken over by Snoke, effectively, and gone off to the side. So there could be other sections, like in the comics, it's not canon anymore, but you had the new Empire, which was the Fell Empire, it's called, and it's basically the Emperor fell, and all of his Imperial, the guy I was dressed up as Halloween, the Imperial Knight guy. They are Grey Jedis, so basically they're not good, they're not bad, they're just sort of kind of they're effectively human, because they have both sets of sort of kind of emotional outputs and stuff. And that Empire wasn't good, it wasn't bad, it was just sort of an Empire trying to sort of carve its way into the galaxy effectively.
Yeah.
And so that was one little section of the Empire and stuff. So there could be other things. So you could have different viewpoints on it and stuff. But again, like you said, they want to sell toys. Kids just want to see the good guys be the good guys. And so it's unlikely. But he had Rogue One, and they did show a darker side of the rebellion and stuff. So you could, even if they went back and they had maybe stories about like Boba Fett, if they do a Boba Fett film, then that's got to be sort of it's got to be a darker sort of film in itself, really, isn't it? Because Boba Fett's not really a nice guy, is he? He's a cool guy, but everybody loves the Empire because they're cool. But they're the bad guys effectively. So
Wait.
Maybe
Everybody loves the Empire. That's a weird
everybody
sentiment.
does.
No.
Everybody does.
yes. Oh wait, right. So you don't think stormtroopers and all the cool stuff is on the Empire side?
No.
You're talking. I'm talking to a guy. I'm good in everything. I cannot be a bad guy, but even I think the Empire's cool.
Right, so I love villains, but the Empire are just one of the most generic evil empires possible. Stormtroopers are just kind of shit, as presented in the film and everything. They're just awful. They headbutt things, for Christ's sake. In terms of evil empires, I'd say there are much grander and better evil empires. That said, I love the Emperor and I love Darth Vader. They're both incredible characters. But the actual Empire itself is just a bit wank.
I know, but you don't get a lot. You don't see much of the sort of the day-to-day running of the Empire and things like that. It's all on the side of rebel farm boys and sort of smugglers and things like that. You're not getting a sort of general view on stormtroopers, and they do get a bit of a bad rap when they can get beaten by teddy bears with sticks and
Exactly,
shit like
yeah.
that. Yeah, that's not their fault. They've been given bad armor, and wear this; it'll protect you from what paper cuts.
But that
bad
still
language.
doesn't speak well of the Empire that they've just given over armor which can't last a short fight with a teddy
there's
bear.
a thing they say that the armor isn't actually there to protect them from any sort of harm. It's there to make them, what's the word? So they
Intimidating?
are intimidating, intimidating, and as a unit, as something that is faceless.
But can I say that you could have potentially done both in a world where you can have lightsabers and shit?
Yes, space wizards.
Yeah, space wizards. Like, don't they even have portable energy, like portable shield generators? That's a thing in Star Wars, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
portable steam gen. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's
Yeah, I
more
suppose
they
they
could have
can't
done.
have. Well, this is a completely random, like a random thing. But one thing I always say is like when I was a kid, I had an Ewok village. I liked the Ewoks. I thought they were kind of cool and stuff. And it didn't bother me that the Ewoks could destroy all these like high sort of highly trained stormtroopers and stuff. But then when you go to the prequels and you got Gungans and sort of Jar Jar Binks and stuff, doing similar things, everybody hated that. It's like, oh my god, this is stupid. This is just silly. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. You had basically midget teddy bears running around, killing guys, and that wasn't a problem, But yet it's a problem when it's sort of CGI'd Gungans. That's an issue for some reason.
And I tell you what's quite nice is that there's been this, I mean, we're obviously coming towards the end now, but there's been this rise of thing called prequel memes on Reddit, which is all jokes and memes based on the 3 prequel movies from Star Wars. And I think what's happened is that the kids who grew up with the prequel films are now starting to defend their love and enjoyment of those films because they were of the right age to watch it when it came out.
Yeah. Sean, this is my entire point. I still haven't finished my Rogue One piece, which is very close to being finished, but that was one of the points I've made. When I was in a say in it, I was teaching kids when the prequels came out, I was doing a Sunday, like a summer scheme thing, and I was teaching kids computers in the summer, and all they were interested in was Star Wars, but not the old ones, the new ones. All they cared about was when you talked to them about the old ones, they just weren't interested. They thought it was stupid, they thought it was silly and stuff, but they loved, the Roger Rogers, the robots, and they loved all the stuff that, even the Gungans, Jar Jar Binks didn't bother them. And it's just like, because they were brought up on it and they were kids and it didn't, that's just something they sort of had programmed into them, I guess, by watching them. It didn't bother them. Whereas we have grown up, we've got a bit more sort of kind of critical and of things. And we've looked at these prequels and went, these are shit. Why would you do that? But we ignore the fact that we didn't have problems with teddy bears running around, wiping out entire units of stormtroopers.
I'm gonna give you one minor correction there, and that's where you say we, because I'm actually a couple of years younger than you. So when I watched the first of the prequel films, I quite liked it.
Okay.
I didn't think it was as terrible as everyone else made out, and I knew a few people who were a few years older than me at the time, and they were railing against it. I think I was a little bit in between the two, that I'd seen the original films. I thought, yeah, they're alright, they're pretty good. I'm watching every now and then, they're quite good. And then saw the prequels, like, yeah, they're alright, pretty good. I won't need to watch them.
I don't mind the prequels. I don't get me wrong. Like, I don't think they're the best ones out there. But
Yeah,
like, again, I watched them. I can remember exactly who I was with when I was watching them, and I didn't sort of, like every other Star Wars, I enjoyed it. And I still think that they've got some of the best lightsaber battles.
they
Darth
have.
Maul
Yeah,
is one of the best bad guys like out there. And I will defend that. He's an amazing bad guy, so good. I'm loving the fact that they've tied it in with, is it Rebels, Star Wars Rebels?
yes.
With Darth Maul and that. But the lightsaber battles and that were amazing, so good. Now the issue obviously is that it was a massive change from the old ones, where it was a bit clunky and sort of, like old school fencing and stuff, whereas you suddenly have people jumping around and doing karate kicks and stuff like that. But it was still impressive stuff. I would have been, when did the first one come out? 90
I want to say, no, 2001 is what I want to say.
2001. So I would have been 19, 18 or 19. I enjoyed it, and I remember going to see, I had a bit of a tear in my eye when in when Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
And stuff, when Padme dies, and I enjoyed them. I don't think they were shit. I just don't think they're the best ones out of the lot.
Now, I think, to phrase this, I think 2 was terrible. Like, the middle one was terrible. What is it called? The Clone Wars.
Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones, that's the one. I think that's quite a terrible movie. I think that's the worst of the Star Wars movies that's ever been made, because it's quite
really,
weak.
Even with all the Jedi's fighting against the clones and stuff.
I mean,
the clones against the robots.
That's one of the few redeeming scenes, and the other one is seeing Yoda actually fight for the first time. That's quite a redeeming scene. But the rest, like the 2 hours to get up to that point, are so muddled and daft, and it doesn't quite work for me. There's a brilliant set of edits. I think I might need to watch them again after talking about this, on YouTube, called the anti-cheese edits, which go back to the prequel films and cut out about a third to a half of them and make them into like better films, essentially, by cutting down on non-necessary stuff and cutting down on the terrible romance between Padme and Anakin, which is just so badly done. Because George Lucas, as much as he's a brilliant world builder, he's not a writer. And
yeah, it's a bit creepy when he's sort of like talking to Padme about stuff like that, and you're like, dude, you're just weird.
Yeah, exactly.
You're kind of getting a bit too intense here,
Quite a bit. It's very disturbing. But yeah, like I said, the prequel films, I think they just needed a bit more editing and a bit more close control, and they would have actually been, I think, accepted as well as, maybe not quite as well as the original trilogy, but somewhere near that. but some of the parts are fantastic. Yeah, the fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin in the lava is over the top, but just so enjoyable. With kind of, is it Clash of Fates, the name of the song that's playing,
Yeah,
as
yeah,
they're
yeah.
kind of
Yeah, no, yeah,
fighting on
definitely.
these collapsing cranes and so on as lava throws up into the air, and it's just absolutely spectacular.
Yeah. I won't sort of I'm not in the habit of sort of besmirching my childhood and stuff like that, and I don't think I was still effectively a child, well, 18, 19 years old and stuff when I
Yeah.
was watching those, and I still have fond memories of them. I didn't come out of them going that was shit, you know. It's actually maybe more now growing up and looking back on them that I maybe picking more holes. At the time, I was like, "Oh man, that was really good." I remember buying. I got a limited edition Master Windu toy, which I've still got. I got the Qui-Gon Jinn lightsaber. I got a Darth Maul lightsaber and stuff. I wasn't sort of I've still got them around and stuff. I still enjoyed them. So it's just look, if I was going to rate them all, they are unfortunately sort of towards the end, but that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy them.
No, exactly. And
Yeah.
there you are. Little bit of
Yeah.
prequel defense to end us off, everyone.
Yeah, prequel defense.
Yeah, check out the anti-cheese edits on YouTube if you do ever fancy watching the prequel films again, because it does cut out a large amount of it, but what it cuts out, it makes sense that it has cut out, and it makes it into a slightly more cohesive story.
All right. Cool, cool, cool. Right.
So thank you very much for listening, everyone. I've been Sean Wallace.
And I have been Matthew Tristan Geary, soon to be eaten by Cthulhu. In
As are
fact,
we all.
yeah, as are we all. By the time you listen to this podcast, this will be our last note before we are consumed by the old ones.
Yah, yah, Cthulhu Fatan.
Good night, y'all.
Night, everyone.